Hey everybody, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. We're going to check in on the crypto space as the Bitcoin bulls try and shape up the weekly equilibrium. They'll take sideways after the weakness of last week. We also have a NASDAQ equilibrium to be keeping an eye on. We'll check in on a crypto stock equilibrium on a longer term time frame. And then of course checking in on the altcoin space. Still not doing a whole lot for the bulls. We'll see if anything's shifting there. Okay. Learn how to trade stocks, crypto, and hype sectors with a global chat room led by professional traders, as well as daily live streams at chartguys.com. All right, so Bitcoin. Going just step by step, right? We do these every week. A couple weeks ago, we were looking for the weekly lower high as the most likely scenario. We knew it was the most likely scenario due to the size of this pullback. We created the space for the bounce to result in a lower high, and it did. We also talked about, well, the bounce retracement was enough for the potential of a weekly higher low, which is trying to form now. So if we're going to form a weekly higher low, what's that going to look like? Well, I wouldn't be surprised if a weekly inside bar ends up forming this week. It is only Tuesday. We've got another 4.5, 5 days to go, but that's entirely possible. And then, of course, the inside bar, if it does form, would need to break bull next week as we start Q4 2025 if the equilibrium is going to indeed be shaping up. Just a note, this Thursday at 5 p.m., I'm going to do a long-term patterns video. I'll probably touch on some of the crypto names in that video, but I've been doing that for a couple of years at this point, and the quarter is over, so we're going to check in on some long-term timeframes. I also appreciate when you click the like button or comment. Yeah, Chris knows. And feel free to ask any questions in the chat room. I'll read that in just a moment. So, okay, let's now zoom in. 12-hour time frame. We had a resistance level at 114,000. We broke it yesterday. Good sign. We broke a short-term resistance level. I'm watching for the possibility that this is a 12-hour inverse head and shoulders. This would be the left shoulder. This would be the head. And if we start the pullback now, we haven't yet, but if it were to start from here, we would look for that right shoulder to form. And our mindset would be anything above the low of where we came from is a higher low. Can the bulls confirm that 12-hour trend change? So what would that mean? Now let's combine the two things that we just did. Weekly potential equilibrium, 12-hour potential inverse head and shoulders. Let's say we're red tomorrow and we start this 12-hour consolidation. And we could even be red Thursday. A couple candles, 3-4 candles, pulling back and looking for a higher low. Then, towards the end of the week, if that can break bull, we'll be looking to test the high of last week, which is up at 115.4 thousand. So that's the path forward of how the bulls want to regain some control after they faltered last week. It's a decent bounce, considering where we came from. Again, looking at the retreat, $20. Ho! Thanks for the tip. That might be the biggest tip ever. I'm going to give that to a homeless guy tonight when I go into town and see some music. Bounce, 65%. Thank you, Jason. 65% bounce, retracement. So a lot of space. Good bounce. And again, can easily keep tightening up. You can even just go to the 2-day or 3-day time frame if you want. 2-day time frame. Equilibrium, high, low, lower high, higher low. Looking for this lower high for us to keep tightening up into the end of this week. So that is what we're going to anticipate as the most likely scenario. NASDAQ is a 12-hour equilibrium. So it's, again, we always want to just be aware of what the broader market is doing. What's sentiment like? All-time highs. Low of a pullback, which was a daily higher low. Fail all-time highs yesterday, and now we're looking for a 12-hour higher low. Still bullish. If we want to just simplify things, as long as the low of last Thursday is holding, we are bullish. We are in a daily EMA 12 rider, and we've been a lot stronger than Bitcoin. If we look at Bitcoin divided by the NASDAQ, last week, we actually hit the weakest we've been compared to the NASDAQ in 5 months. That's significant. We're recovering a bit, Bulls would love for this to be a falling wedge, but need to see that relative strength return. And for now, it's just a weekly downtrend of relative weakness comparatively. And so I'm going to keep an eye on that. And what that does, why do I care about that? As a trader that trades everything, right? I trade cannabis stocks, quantum stocks, crypto, commodities. I want to know, where is capital rotating around, bigger picture. And it's just, when you're in a bull market, which we've been in for 2+ years from the 2022 lows, it's just this game of where's the money rotating around. And just watching to see, it has been leaving crypto over the last couple of months, 3 months, and I'm just watching for signs that it's returning. And then, can we get another leg up? And we know we have had a fairly inverse relationship with the metals. Bigger picture, if you're zoomed out, I've gone over it before. I'm not going to go over it in details here, but there are very significant periods of gold breaking out, Bitcoin consolidation, and then they just take turns. And of course, gold is just on absolute fire. So Bitcoin is trading sideways for how many weeks now? A bunch, 6 weeks. So we could just say, essentially, really, between this range, we've been trading sideways for almost 3 months. And gold has been going straight up for the last 2 months. So Bitcoin sideways, gold on fire. When gold was trading sideways, this is when Bitcoin was getting its turn. So I'll be keeping an eye out when gold tops into weekly consolidation. Again, just one little piece of the puzzle, right? I'm not going to all in Bitcoin when gold starts consolidating. I'm just going to say, hey, gold is starting to top a little bit. I'm paying extra attention to crypto now. Do I want to deploy more capital into some crypto swing positions? That's just a very rough thesis that I then look for confirmation of if and when that gold top happens. But it's not happening yet. We're still real strong. Daily uptrend is our guide, first things first. Dominance chart is bouncing. We're testing the recent highs. Again, I'm on the monthly time frame here, and I'm just watching. In my ideal world, well, I have metals exposure. I'd like them to keep going up. But let's just say metals top out into weekly consolidation, which is inevitable at some point. We're going to be watching, can Bitcoin get a leg up in all-time highs where the dominance monthly chart bounces? I think we've gone over this before, but give me that. Give me a lower high where Bitcoin tops out 140, 145. That'd be nice. And then roll over here as ETH shoots up 55 to 6,000 and altcoins start to actually follow through with some bullish action. If I could be the king of crypto, that's how I would choose to end this year into next year. Again, I have no idea. I'm not going to say that's the most likely scenario, but one of the things that I always am doing as I'm doing analysis on things is I'm laying out, this would be the ideal scenario. And then if I see, for me, ideal scenario, what I want to see happen if it's, going to be nice and clear for me. And then I just look for signs. Is this happening or not? And the more little clues that I get that it is happening, the more aggressive I'm going to position for that ideal scenario. And this could potentially play out over the next 4 months. We'll see. ETH. So we had daily backburner, first daily oversold conditions coming off of all-time highs. Nice bounce, 10% from the low to the high. Look at this level. This is the zone, low 42s. Support, base of support here. And now a wall of resistance. Look at that, base of support acting as resistance, acting as resistance. We have a potential 4-hour head and shoulders on ETH shaping up. If that confirms, daily consolidation will be more convincingly underway. But that is the line in the sand right now. We were bullish above it. Bulls are just fine. And now if I'm a bear, which I'm not, but if I were, I'm not worried about a thing if that's resistance. You got to get over that to change it for me. Do we have a potential 12-hour inverse head and shoulders like gold? It's not really the same kind of setup. It's not nearly as clear. You can see how it's similar, but I'm just sticking to the ETH daily chart. I'm viewing this all as one bounce. And I'm watching, can the bulls confirm the daily uptrend from daily oversold conditions to continue holding weekly EMA 12. And ETHBTC, I'm viewing this as a weekly stair step up and a weekly stair step down. It wasn't picture perfect. There was a tiny little break there, but stair step up, stair step down. And just thinking bigger picture, go to the monthly chart here. The monthly chart of ETHBTC. And I'm just looking back here. We topped out in 2018 and we were bearish and fading for a year and a half. And we then saw some life in rotation. But we then had to pull back for 4 months before we confirmed a monthly uptrend and really got going. So here we are, 2.5 years of fading, big bounce. We are going to have to confirm a monthly uptrend at some point. Go to the 6-month chart. I'm looking for this to be an equilibrium. If this is going to be a convincing equilibrium, we've got to confirm a monthly uptrend and head back towards, 6. So what would that look like? Well, we just did dominance. So let's say Bitcoin gets a leg up. Ideally, dominance bounces on the monthly to form a monthly right shoulder on the dominance chart. ETHBTC would be seeing monthly consolidation if that happens. Dominance chart monthly head and shoulders is an ETHBTC monthly trend change being confirmed. See how we're just going one thing at a time and doing the little puzzle pieces on how all these things would fit together. If this is going to shape up, this is what it would look like here. This is what it would look like here. We'll see. We're about to close a monthly inside bar on this candle. It won't be hard to start monthly consolidation, right into October. Let's see. BMNR, I love this equilibrium. Again, whenever you get massive volatility in both directions, which we certainly had on Tom Lee's ETH Treasury Company, you scout the equilibrium as the most likely scenario. And when you know the most likely scenario, you then zoom in and it's much easier to pinpoint things. And it's just been really good. Daily stair step, high or low every single day, 3, 6, 10 days in a row. But we know a lower high is most likely. As soon as you break that stair step pattern, that lower high is now set. And then we pull back. And now we've got a little higher low and now a little lower high. We're tightening up. As soon as this tightening daily range breaks, I'm going to go right to the 2-day time frame and just zoom out a little bit more, because oftentimes a short-term equilibrium can break and then form a longer-term equilibrium. So what would that look like? And this applies to everything with trading anything. If we're viewing this as a daily equilibrium and it breaks bull like that, go to the 2-day, because that would still be a 2-day equilibrium tightening. And the daily bull break might lack follow through. And that just means now the 2-day has to tighten up for another week plus. I used to get faked out a good bit by breaks on shorter term time frames. And then I learned, as soon as you're watching something with clarity on a shorter term time frame, as soon as that break happens, zoom out one time frame and then watch it from there. Because if you're going to get faked out, you'll see why on the longer term time frame. And it's very often with equilibriums. You'll see a 5-minute. We just did it, NASDAQ today. QQQ, I was looking for a 15-minute equilibrium as the most likely scenario. We had a 5-minute trend change bull. All right, bulls are back in control. What the heck? Why didn't we follow through at all from the 5-minute uptrend confirming? Because it was just a 15-minute lower high. It was just a 15-minute lower high within this equilibrium. Don't get faked out. Zoom out. All right, altcoins, let's do a check-in here. A lot of red. That's been the case for a while now. I'm cringing as I watch some accounts that have so many more followers than me. I don't really care about that. But just the fact that they're so wrong and they're so bad at what they do in terms of just constantly calling for alt season, and they're all in alts, they're fully loaded, and then we get a massive leg down and they talk about it's time to buy the dip, and then we get another leg down and they talk about don't get faked out, this is the last. It's just so For me as a professional trader watching that, it is so painful to know how much damage they are doing to people that don't know what they're doing. Anyways. Altcoins. Aster was our bull from last time around. And we've topped out. We're in a daily downtrend. A little dinky. I like the 12-hour here, just lower highs and lower lows. So 12-hour downtrend is our clear guide. Lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. Nothing changes as long as we're in a 12-hour downtrend. We did just get the 4-hour oversold conditions. Can we bounce in any meaningful way? We'll see. But we got to be cautious of a pump and fade, of course. You know, this is when, again, I go to the 2-day time frame. What's the most likely scenario for me here? An equilibrium. What's our retracement size at this point? 50%. All right, scout the equilibrium. A 2-day high or low is the more likely scenario. Whenever you're on something that's new like this and has, you know, not a ton of liquidity or price action, when I say the most likely scenario, it's not as confident. If this is an Apple 2-day chart, Apple the stock, I'm way more confident in Apple's most likely scenario than Aster's most likely scenario. But I am scouting a 2-day high or low. And so what would that look like? A 12-hour trend change back to the bulls would be the first indication of a 2-day high or low being set. So I look for a bullish reversal pattern on the 12-hour time frame. And there isn't one yet, but I know that that's what I'm looking for. So I can draw a downtrend resistance line just as a visual guide. And, you know, maybe if we close in the next 5 hours, maybe if this 4-hour oversold bounce gets a leg up and we close with a nice long lower wick here, maybe we'll start scouting 12-hour. Well, yeah, maybe we'll scout a 12-hour falling wedge for a 2-day high or low. So worth keeping an eye on. And, you know, if you're a real aggressive bull, you're playing 4-hour oversold, because when 4-hour oversold hit, hourly RSI was in the teens, 15-minute RSI was in the teens. That's my ideal kind of bounce play. If I'm looking for a back burner on one time frame, give me the shorter term time frames as crushed as possible, because I know that even if I'm wrong about the longer term high or low, if I'm wrong about the 2-day high or low, I can at least get an hourly bounce to position. Or even just the hourly stair step here breaks bull at 159, we'll say. You know, sell partial at 165, and now your break even, let's include some fees. So your break even is maybe 154, fairly low risk. That's what an aggressive bull is doing. A patient bull is saying, give me a big enough bounce where I look for the higher low and I say, that's it, or I'm wrong for 150. But I'm going to keep an eye out on that 12-hour falling wedge for a potential 2-day high or low. Is XRP still holding support? Probably. So yeah, still that base. Still daily lower highs. We're getting tight here. Volatility is coming to XRP end of this week or early next week. Can be viewing this as an equilibrium as well. Again, this is the way my brain is just designed to pick out equilibriums. Imagine like you're a mushroom forager and you're walking through the woods. Somebody who doesn't forage mushrooms is going to walk by 100 mushrooms. But your brain is designed or trained to pick out the mushrooms that other people don't see. My brain is designed to pick out equilibriums because it's so common. I'm just viewing it like this. You know, it's not picture perfect. There's some wicks mixed in there. This is how I'm just viewing it. We're looking for a higher low compared to 270, and this 12-hour tightening range is going to break in a few days, and volatility and volume will pick up in XRP when it does. And we'll see if bulls can break that bullish to defend this base of support that does keep holding. Binance, weekly higher low trying to form. No, it hasn't even started weekly consolidation. Still a stair step. Weekly stair step now 9 candles in a row. Second inside bar likely to form this week. Again, same thing. I'd be looking for a daily lower high right now, and then I'd be looking for a higher low attempt to tighten up. Volatility up, volatility down, watch for the tightening range. Trading is just identifying expanding ranges leading to constriction. And one of my skill sets as a trader is knowing when to stop trading something when the volatility starts to constrict. And then I also know to focus because the constricting range is going to break and volatility is going to return, and I should begin actively trading it again. This is a good stream. I had a bad stream last night. Cannabis. New rule, don't stream after a 12-hour trading day and a sauna session. Another donation. Rolling in it today. Thanks. I'll get to that in just a second. All right. Hey, I can't say your name. I'm sorry. Timor? I remember your name. Tilray trade. I'll get back to that. Cannabis trade. We're going to talk crypto until the end of any questions. Do I take seasonality into consideration when looking at likely high time frame equilibrium breaks? Good question. I take seasonality into, I don't with crypto. With markets, the only seasonality I pay attention to is the end of the year. You know, the low from October to the close at the end of the year, Santa Claus rally. That's a very clear seasonality that I pay attention to. So obviously that's going to impact crypto. So in that regard, I pay attention, but that's really it. That's the only seasonality. You know, I have a bull lean during Santa rally time from the low of October to end of the year. Have a bull lean. And it has helped. You know, just looking at, we'll just use the NASDAQ as an example, and then we'll compare it to Bitcoin. But October 2023, we were bearish. We were in a weekly downtrend, months of consolidation. Seasonality had me go bullish at the end of October, and we V-shaped back to all-time highs. Bitcoin at that point in time, October 2023, is that what I said? Yeah. Yeah, so it was consolidating, not doing a whole lot, and then it rocketed up. So yeah, it definitely looks like seasonality and Santa rallies are impacting Bitcoin as well, obviously, because there's major correlation. So yeah, I mean, ideal world, give me that Bitcoin leg up, all-time highs, 140. Give me that dominance right shoulder. Give me that ETHBTC monthly consolidation. Again, just another tiny little piece of the puzzle to paint that potential picture. And all of that could be wrong, right? I'm not putting a bunch of money on that's what's going to happen. But I'm watching for it, and I'll be ready to react to the price telling me that's what's happening. Thanks, Jason. I do some mouth open well, I don't make my thumbnails, but my team will make some mouth open thumbnails to piss me off. But they work. It's so bad. It's so sad. All right, Trumpcoin. DJT, I forgot the ticker. It's been a while since I looked at it. Was it on Coinbase? What's going on here? No, it is Trump, isn't it? Yeah. Ugh. It's so bad. So the way I view this is just a coin that is, or a stock or whatever it is, it's just as bearish as you can possibly be. In the sense that it's in a downtrend on every single time frame, and it's hitting all-time lows. I mean, you could say it's a double bottom at all-time lows right now, 715. So, I mean, no, it broke by 3.5%, 4%. It's as bearish as you can get. So, is there any reason this can't be a $2 coin 16 months from now? No, there's no reason whatsoever. So you just have to remind yourself that. And, when's the last time we've confirmed a weekly uptrend? It's never happened in the history of this coin. We have never been in a weekly uptrend with a higher low and a higher high. So that gives us 2 bits of information. 1, we're as bearish as you can possibly be. Shouldn't be long. Number 2, when we confirm the first weekly uptrend ever, it tells you something is shifting. So that's something you can look out for. Bitcoin, when we found a long-term bottom, one of the things, we have a crypto course. I did an update on a module, so trying to identify long-term bottoms. And one of the things I said was, we have not confirmed a weekly uptrend in Bitcoin. At that point in time, it was in 9-10 months. The next time we confirm a weekly uptrend, it should stand out to us that something is shifting. We confirmed a weekly uptrend at 18.4 thousand, and the rest is history. That was the bottom. So that's an example where just following price level trends worked beautifully to perfection. So I would watch the same thing on Trump. Confirm a weekly uptrend for the first time ever and show us something is shifting. Otherwise, it's in a downtrend on every single time frame. Thanks, average player. Some people did like last night's stream. I felt off. It just, I feel flow state. I can feel when I'm spitting fire. And it was just, as soon as I started talking, the first 3 sentences in my brain, it's oh no, uh-oh. I'm drinking water. This is just watered down. I think it's like beet juice, turmeric, some kind of combination. All right, we got a mushroom forager. It was a good analogy. All right, so that's where we stand. We've got a path laid forward now. I would love if 4 months from now, January 2026, if we can pull up this stream and be like, look, the map was laid out and it played out that way. But I will keep revisiting. This is going to be a pivotal stream where, let's see, what do we name this? The end of year roadmap is what we're going to call that. And when we do our check-ins, it won't be every week, but every couple of weeks, how's the end of year roadmap shaping up? Are the puzzle pieces confirming this thesis or denying this thesis is what we're going to do to check in on it. All right. Appreciate you all. Do good things. Again, all the meat of what I just said in this stream can be applied to anything that you're trading. And as you know, I'm encouraging everybody in crypto to trade stocks and people in stocks to trade commodities. And you just want all the doors open for opportunity. And you don't want to be overwhelmed, but you want to be agile and confident enough. Again, the only reason I succeeded in crypto 2017, trading crypto for the first time in my life, was because I was confident in my trading and technical analysis ability. So I didn't feel like a fish out of water trading this new market. It felt very second nature. Do good things. Appreciate you all. $22 tip. Going out on the town tonight. Thanks.